Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wade Watches. I'm Wade. Welcome to another amazing, spectacular, awesome, fresh out of the movie theater review where I finally found the time to check out Nobody 2. I know I'm a bit late on this one, and that's just because I'm in actual film school right now. So I'm more busy developing and making my own films and making my own stuff than I am watching films these days. But that's all good because that's what it's all about for me, and that's exactly what I want to do with my life. But nonetheless, I did find the time to check this one out, and honestly, going into it, I just kind of reminded myself that as much as I actually love the first film, I love that first Nobody. I admit that, story-wise, it wasn't anything new under the sun. We've seen the badass hiding out in suburbia who's secretly a badass, who secretly has this really brutal past of brutally killing people, and he has a secret set of skills. We've seen that time and time again. But I guess with the first Nobody, it was just the execution, man. It was just a fun 90-minute, blood fest starring Bob Odenkirk, who did a phenomenal job with that role, and that's why I love the first Nobody. But I still admit that it's nothing new under the sun. It's nothing groundbreaking or refreshing, and the same can be said about the sequel. I still had a lot of fun with it, but unfortunately it does suffer with that case of sequelitis, where it really feels like somebody wanted to do something a little bit bigger with the sequel, especially in terms of stakes and consequences here, but they decided to stick with that same 90-minute runtime that the first film had, and they just didn't have time to get to everything, because obviously, as the trailers tell you here, this is not one that takes place at home. The family is on vacation. You have kind of like a little bit of family drama here. The family, there's kind of this concern that Bob Odenkirk is throwing too much of himself into his work, doesn't have enough time for his family. You have that. You have kind of even this bit of a rivalry that shows up. You have Bob Odenkirk, trying to deal with the stuff that he did in the first film. All that stuff is in this 89 long minute movie, and it's just not enough time to get to everything. And I'm even more bummed out by this because of the fact that when we get to that scene where it's about to go down, Bob Odenkirk is about to get really pissed off, and he's about to hurt some people, I actually looked at that scene and I cringed a little bit. I was just like, whoa, goddamn, this is actually more brutal than the first film, because it's one of those things where if I saw that, I'd get really pissed off too. And I don't have Bob Odenkirk's skills, but I'd be like, yeah, fuck that guy, he has it coming. So I was thinking to myself, okay, maybe they are going to step it up, because that's actually a little bit more intense, at least in my opinion, than the first film. That actually feels a bit more personal than the first film. And this threat looks like it's going to be a bit more of a bigger deal to handle than the first film. But no, if anything, it's a bit more watered down than the first film. It's a bit more downgraded. We have ourselves another wacky, funny villain. And I was like, why did you do that? Because you were doing such a great job with making this seem a little bit more threatening and intimidating, and making it seem like Bob Odenkirk is going to have his work cut out for him this time, because not only is he on vacation, not only has his vacation been interrupted, but it seems like these guys aren't fucking around if they're willing to do something like that. But no, if anything, it's just if anything, it's a bit more watered down. And I'm a little bit more disappointed, but I can't say I'm completely surprised by that being the case. It's just typical sequelitis. Who knows at this point? It's so easy to blame the suits, but who knows what went down in the writer's room, in the writer's studio during storyboarding? Who knows what the case is? But unfortunately, this is one of those cases of a bit of an inferior, watered down sequel. It's not even even though, despite the R rating and we have F-bombs and blood galore, it even feels like it's watered down in terms of action as well, just not as brutal as that first film. So even though I had some fun with said action sequences, even though I had some fun at certain points with seeing these characters again come back for the second film and seeing them do their thing, Bob Odenkirk is still in top form. He's still really good in this role. I love the family dynamic a little bit more this time around, because now they know what he does, and that kind of has this cool moment, that definitely ties into something that happens at the end. I liked Christopher Lloyd returning. I liked do you say RZA or RZA? I liked seeing him back. So I liked all that good stuff, man. But unfortunately, it's just those watered down stakes. Even though it seemed like early on when this first gets started, it seemed like they were going for something that was actually a little more intense than the threat in the first film. So that's why I'm walking out this a little bit bummed out by what I have just seen, because I was really hoping that they would, step it up like any good action sequel should do. But nah, if anything, it felt less intense than that first film, because even though the first film is still an action comedy, it still has its yucks, it still features a very campy, over-the-top villain, I still felt like there was a little bit more intensity with that first film, and that's probably because there was that double life conflict there, where in the first film his family didn't know that he was doing this, his family didn't know that he was like this, and he kind of had to restrain himself at a lot of parts, and you just see like the fire building up in this guy. Whereas here, secret's already out, cat's already out of the bag, family knows what he's doing, they still decide to go on a vacation because they just all need a break, shit hits the fan, and the threat just feels like it's even more disposable and inferior than the one in the first one. So I was just kind of like, god damn it, no stakes here, nothing new under the sun here. But because I do admit that I still had some fun with this, I'm gonna go ahead and give Nobody 2 a 6.5 out of 10. That 0.5 is because there were a lot of action sequences that I enjoyed in this film. I did enjoy Bob Odenkirk's performance. I enjoyed everybody else in the film, and I just enjoyed just seeing things with this character play out again. But I really do wish that they had maybe made this one a little bit longer so they could get to everything. I wish that the threat was more imposing, and I wish that they didn't do that typical sequelitis thing where they set up a bunch of little subplots, or they have one little scene that doesn't really play into anything, that doesn't really go anywhere. So it's a 6.5 out of 10 for Nobody 2. Not as great as the first, but it's a Saturday matinee movie. It's a good way to kill 2 hours on a rainy Saturday like I just did. So it has its value, but it's nowhere as good as the first Nobody, in my humble opinion. This has been another edition of Weight Watchers. 6.5 out of 2, 6.5 out of 10 for Nobody 2, and I'll see you lovely people next time. What did you think of Nobody 2? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you lovely people next time. Namaste.